Winnie-the-Pooh, Blood and Honey is a 2023 British independent slasher film written, directed and produced by Rhys Frake-Waterfield. The film serves as a horror retelling of A. Milne and E. H. Shepard's Winnie-the-Pooh books and stars Craig David Dowsett as Winnie-the-Pooh and Chris Cordell as Piglet, with Amber Doig-Thorne, Nikolai Leon, Maria Taylor, Natasha Rose Mills and Danielle Ronald in supporting roles. It follows Pooh and Piglet, who have now become feral and bloodthirsty murderers, as they terrorize a group of young university women and an adult Christopher Robin when he returns to the 100-acre wood many years later after leaving for college. The film was first announced on May 24, 2022, where it drew widespread attention due to its premise involving a character that garnered a reputation as a beloved childhood icon and was met with divided reactions. It was produced by Jagged Edge Productions in association with ITN Studios, and went into development after the 1926 Winnie-the-Pooh book entered the public domain in the United States on January 1, 2022. On a budget under $100,000, a 10-day shoot for the film took place in the Ashdown Forest of East Sussex, England, which serves as inspiration for the 100-acre wood. The setting for the stories, originally set for a nationwide one-night event, a spike in online popularity had it expanded to a major worldwide theatrical release. Winnie-the-Pooh, Blood and Honey premiered in Mexico on January 26, 2023, and was theatrically released in the United States on February 15, 2023, and in the United Kingdom on March 10, 2023. Despite being panned by critics for its low budget and production values, as well as a lack of a coherent story and creativity, it has been commercially successful, grossing over $4 million worldwide against its small budget. Nikolai Leon as Christopher Robin, Maria Taylor as Maria, Natasha Rose Mills as Jessica, Amber Doig-Thorne as Alice, Danielle Ronald as Zoe, Natasha Tosini as Lara, Paula Coais as Mary, May Kelly as Tina, Danielle Scott as Charlene, Craig David Dowsett as Winnie-the-Pooh, Chris Cordell as Piglet, Marcus Massey as Colt, Richard D. Myers as Logan, Simon Ellis as Tucker, Jace Rivers as John, Mark Halder as Daryl. Particularly towards Christopher, they vowed to abandon their humanity, return to their feral instincts, and be permanently silent. 5 years later, Christopher, now an adult, returns to the 100-acre wood, accompanied by his wife, Mary, to reunite with his old friends, but finds the place in a desolate state. Despite Mary's warnings to leave, Christopher investigates further, but Piglet surprises him and fatally strangles Mary with a chain. Horrified, Christopher attempts to escape. Many years ago, a young Christopher Robin met and befriended a group of anthropomorphic creatures, Winnie-the-Pooh, Piglet, Eeyore, Rabbit and Owl, in the 100-acre wood. However, when Christopher decided to enter college, he stopped visiting. Without Christopher around to feed or guide them, and with the arrival of winter, the creatures went into extreme starvation and settled on killing and eating Eeyore, which traumatized them so much that they developed a hatred for humanity. Sometime later, a group of university students, Maria, Jessica, Alice, Zoe, and Lara, rent a cabin in the 100-acre wood as suggested by Maria's therapist, so she can move on from a traumatic stalking experience. Tina, another of Maria's friends, gets lost en route to the cabin, and Pooh chases her into an abandoned factory, where he grinds her up with a wood chipper. Later, in his treehouse, Pooh, who has held Christopher prisoner, brutally whips him with Eeyore's tail and places Mary's skeletal remains in a corner before showering Christopher in her blood. As night falls, Pooh and Piglet encounter the cabin. They ambush and seize Lara, carrying her to the road where Piglet pins her down while Pooh slowly drives a car onto Lara's head, crushing her skull. Having heard the commotion, Maria and Jessica go outside to investigate, only to find Lara's corpse. Retreating to the cabin to warn Alice and Zoe. The girls are attacked by Pooh and are separated. Piglet enters, knocking Alice unconscious, and kills Zoe by smashing her face in with a sledgehammer. Maria and Jessica watch as Pooh and Piglet abduct Alice and decide to follow them into the woods to rescue her. In Pooh's treehouse, Maria and Jessica free Alice, Christopher, and another hostage named Charlene, whose husband Daryl has already been murdered by Piglet. Seeking revenge after Piglet severely scarred her face, Charlene summons Piglet to kill him, but Pooh subdues her and Piglet mauls her to death. Pooh chases Maria and Jessica into the woods, but Alice stays behind to subdue Piglet from behind, subsequently chaining him up and then fatally bludgeoning him with his own sledgehammer. Pooh attempts to kill Maria until Christopher appears, driving another car, crushing Pooh between the two cars and apparently killing him. Christopher tries to help Maria, but Pooh, having barely survived, appears and grabs her, holding her at knife point. Christopher pleads with Pooh to kill him instead of her and asks why he's become a killer. Pooh then breaks his silence to tell Christopher you left before slitting Maria's throat. After watching her die in his arms. A traumatized Christopher, realizing his former friend is now beyond help, watches Pooh repeatedly stab Maria's corpse before fleeing from the woods. As of February 23, 2023, Winnie-the-Pooh, Blood and Honey has grossed $1.8 million in the United States and Canada, and $3 million in other territories, including over $1 million in Mexico, for a worldwide total of $4.8 million. On the review aggregator website Rotten Tomatoes, 4% of 57 critics' reviews are positive, with an average rating of February 2, 10. The website's consensus reads, "Oh, bother." Metacritic, which uses a weighted average, assigned the film a score of 16 out of 100 based on 19 critics, indicating overwhelming dislike. Christian Zilko of IndieWire scored the film a grade C+, criticizing the film's screenplay as an incoherent mess as well as the film's low production values. Awarding the film a similar score, Luke Thompson of the AV Club offered similar criticism towards the cheap production values and lack of a coherent story, while also noting that the film fulfills its promise of a slasher film based on a beloved children's book. Polygon's Tasha Robinson felt that certain elements such as the gore and inherent grotesqueness of the material worked well, but added that the film's poor dialogue, lack of humor, and connection to its basic source material ruined an interesting premise. Dennis Harvey of Variety was highly critical of the film for its lack of humor, poor acting, and incoherent screenplay, summarizing that the film failed to meet even the most basic expectations set up by its conceptual gimmick. In his review for Rue Morgue, Michael Gingold felt that the film lacked any sort of wit or imagination to successfully implement upon its premise. Gingold additionally pointed out the drab cinematography, absence of characterization for its title villain, and messy production only served to make the film easily forgettable. Rating the film 1.5 out of 4 stars, Nick Allen from RogerEbert.com wrote that it failed as both a comedy and a horror film, noting the poorly lit scenes in the film made it hard to decipher what was happening on screen, while echoing other critics' sentiments on the writing and lack of interesting characters.